It is a top of the hour. Good afternoon. Welcome to JoyNews Today. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125, on all our social media handles and around the world on myjoyonline.com. Coming up within the next 60 minutes, NPP caucus in Parliament reacts to allegations by the NDC caucus that government will deploy the military to the House on Tuesday. We'll hear from both sides, plus a lawyer who believes the Supreme Court did not err in that ruling. We'll also be on the campaign trail where the NDC presidential candidate John Dramani Mahama has promised to modernize key markets across the country under the NDC's Market Enhancements Program. Elsewhere, the MPP's Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia has commissioned Phase 2 of Ghana's first micro hydropower plant in Alavayon. There's also an update from the ongoing National Science and Maths Quiz in Cape Coast coming your way in this bulletin. We also have business news, sport news, and world news. My name is Arus Asar Dono. Take a seat. Be my guest. We start with the new Patriotic Party and their caucus in Parliament because they say their side of the House will not foment trouble when Parliament resumes sitting on Tuesday. Now, this is in response to a statement by the National Democratic Congress Chief Whip, Kwame Abuja, who says they will resist any attempt to deploy soldiers to Parliament.
If you notice, on that fateful day of the beginning of this Parliament, it was government that ordered the military and the police to enter the chamber and assault members of Parliament. Indeed, my colleague, Honorable, our colleague, filed a motion for those individuals, of which we have details of those military officers and what they did in the chamber. But I can guarantee you it's not yet sunset on those issues. Just to add, we are aware that between yesterday and today, some elements of government have had a meeting again to deploy the military to the precincts of Parliament to enter the tent. We are aware of that. We can just ask those around the Accra Sports Stadium that at a point in time tomorrow, they repeat the same misconduct. We can guarantee them the people of this country are sovereign. If you wear a military uniform or police uniform, you work to the Constitution. But they should be aware that the life of this government is less than 2 months. They will have to account for their conduct in 2020 and whatever they do tomorrow. But they shouldn't be surprised the people of this country would react forcefully to any misconduct of anybody in uniform on Tuesday and beyond.
Well, the NPP MP for Anya Sotom, Dixon Edumakokisi, has been reacting to this on NewsX.
I must say that the MPP believes in the rule of law, and we will all conduct ourselves appropriately.
Okay.
And I don't see how any unnecessary force will be used on Tuesday.
Okay.
We are men, and women who pride ourselves in letting ideas talk more than guns. So I think hopefully by midnight today, some clarity in terms of Supreme Court's decision, and the Speaker also, under the advice of his legal team, will arrive at a very agreeable decision, which I think many Ghanaians will be looking at to make a decision about the future. So in conclusion, I really think that the rights of individuals who can change association at any point in time is under attack. And this is an opportunity for people to look at it that way. Members of Parliament are not clogged with one party forever. At some point in time, we are at liberty to change, parties if need be.
Well, senior lecturer at UPSA Law School, Ishaq Ibrahim, believes the Supreme Court did not err. He also spoke earlier on NewsX.
No, but then if he doesn't go to the High Court, the Supreme Court, even look at Article
130?
Article 125.
Okay.
the judicial power of Ghana shall be vested in the judiciary. Accordingly, neither the president nor parliament nor any organ or agency of the president or parliament shall have or be given the final judicial power. So if he goes to, because he was looking for a stay of execution, and I think going to the Supreme Court, the Supreme Court have overwhelming power. So even if you're not going to the High Court, the decision to be made as to whether the people rightly vacate parliament or not, yes, is the High Court. But the Supreme Court has overriding supervision power over all organs in Ghana as far as the Constitution is concerned. I think going to the Supreme Court wasn't a bad thing to do.
Okay.
It was the right place.
Please help me here. Two things again. So the substantive matter that Honorable Afenyo-Markin took to the Supreme Court will then be what? For him to go and seek the stay of execution. What then is the substantive matter that he took to the Supreme Court? So the
substantive matter would be, I think the right way it would have been was, the initial point should have been the High Court. And the High Court will cease with the matter to determine whether the members have actually vacated parliament. But I believe there would have been an interpretation issue.
Okay.
Because two parties are arguing as to whether what needs to remain really means.
Okay.
The High Court would have ordered for a stay.
Okay.
Then ask the Supreme Court to interpret that aspect. Then the High Court would then apply.
Okay.
We are indeed your election headquarters. Let's hit the campaign trail next. Now, presidential candidate of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has promised to modernize key markets across Ghana under the party's market enhancement program. Now, during the final day of his tour of the Greater Accra Region, he said an NDC government would prioritize creating a conducive environment for small and medium enterprises to thrive. Maxwell Agbagba has more in this report.
The NDC presidential candidate John Mahama visited the Tema West, Lejukuku and Okaikwe South constituencies. He says a future NDC government will retool Ghana's security agencies. John Mahama says the NDC's market enhancement program will improve the state of all of Ghana's markets.
There are many other programs that we have already indicated that we'll do. And if you look in the manifesto, you see the 120-day pledge. That is our social contract. And one of them is that in the first 120 days, we'll provide the seed money upfront for the Women's Development Bank. So that our mothers and our sisters can get loans with low interest, no collateral. You don't give any collateral. So that they can build up their businesses and be able to raise money to be able to look after the family. Apart from that, for our women, we're going to do what we call the Market Enhancement Program. Everywhere there's a market, we'll engineer it properly, build it nicely, pave the floor, so that when it rains, you don't have to walk in mud to enter the market. We have to make the markets enticing so that you're happy to go there and buy things. If you go in the market, you have to step in the mud and it will soil your shoes and your cloth. Who wants to go to such a market? And so under the Market Enhancement Program for our mothers and our sisters who sell in the markets, we're going to re-engineer your markets nicely so that it is enticing for people to come there and do their shopping.
John Mahama also responded to a recent NPP advert mocking his promise to help small businesses grow, stating that the NPP lacks foresight when it comes to supporting businesses.
The other time, I said that if you wanted to be a baker, we'll help you with the equipment. The
other time I said we were going to help small businesses to grow. If you want to be a baker, we'll support you with the flour, money and everything you need. And I said those who want to start a poultry farm, we will help them with the hen coop and the chicks and the money to take care of the chicks. When they grow and lay eggs, they will make money when they sell the eggs and the fowl. Our friends in the NPP have done an advert mocking what I said. But they do not know even advanced countries reached that status through small and medium enterprises. The successful businessmen you see here in Ghana all started small. We are not shy to say we will help small and medium enterprises. Small and medium enterprises, this is your government.
And here we value the small and medium enterprises. And we're going to help the business people in the small and medium enterprise sector to be able to grow their businesses.
Let's shift our attention now to the camp of the NPP, and presidential candidate of the new Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, has commissioned phase 2 of Ghana's first micro hydropower plant. This means a 75 kilowatt hydropower turbine has been added to the existing 45 kilowatt hydropower turbine at Chachadu generating station in Alavayon in the Hohoe constituency of the Volta region. There is more in the following report by Kyerematen Asari.
The Chachadu generating system was designed, developed and constructed by engineers of the Bui Power Authority. An intake structure was installed in the spillway to divert part of the flow of the Chachadu River to 2 hydro turbines that produce 45 and 75 kilowatts of electricity. Power produced from the station feeds into the national grid. The Vice President and presidential candidate of the new Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia, said the successful completion of the project gives credence to his vision of increasing the country's power generation capacity to reduce electricity costs.
The goal is to bring down the cost of electricity by 50% for households and businesses. Thank you. I have every confidence, and today my confidence has been further enhanced that it is possible. Yes. I have every confidence that working with Bui Power Authority, within the first 4 years, we are going to go all out to introduce 2,000 megawatts of solar power into the national grid. And we are going to do so much to bring this into force.
The Chief Executive Officer of Bui Power Authority, Engineer Samuel Kofi Jamesi, announced the construction of a similar hydro plant at the Ebili Waterfall.
As a result of the experience gained from this project, we'll be commencing a 3 megawatt plant at Ebili Waterfall early next year under your presidency of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. This will ensure smooth power to Hohoe and its environs. Bui Power Authority will add 105 megawatt solar power to the energy mix by November this year. 50 megawatts for Yendi, 50 megawatts at Bui, and 5 megawatt floating solar at Bui, the first of its kind in Africa. All these projects were done under Nana Akufo-Addo Bawumia government.
The Railways Minister and Member of Parliament for Hohoe, John Peter Amewu, entreated the electorate to appreciate the gesture by voting for the new Patriotic Party on December 7th. Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia also commissioned the Chachadu Center of Excellence, which would serve as a learning center for tertiary students. Kyerematen Asari, Joy News, Alavanyu.
Away from the Volta region, let's head to the Ashanti region, and leader of Movement for Change, Alan Kyerematen, says his economic transformation agenda will create jobs, stimulate economic growth and improve the standard of living of Ghanaians. He's been speaking after a 19-day tour of the Ashanti region, where he interacted with thousands of people and outlined his vision for a transformed Ghana. Nana Boachi Adam joins us live with more. Nana, this is a stronghold of the NPP, the Ashanti region. It also happens to be a place where a lot of people know Alan Kyerematen. How is he How are they receiving his message so far?
The message of Alan Kyerematen, which is the transformation agenda policies that he has for the country if elected president, has been welcomed by a number of people that he engaged in the region over or throughout his 19-day tour in the Ashanti region. We realized that the tour started by first introducing his running mate to the Asantehene, Otumfuo the second. Later on, he engaged some stakeholders, CSOs, market women in the Ashanti region, where he shared his vision with all of them. I must say that throughout this tour, the engagement that he has had so far with these people, the message has been received very, very well. What he has been touting his achievements over the years as trade minister, and the need for him to come and take over power, break the NPP NDC duopoly, and then make sure that whatever the case may be, if elected president, there is economic transformation. He's touting himself to be the only person among his peers, in fact, among all the 13 aspirants, who can make sure that Ghana recovers from the economic challenges that we are receiving so far. And then yesterday with the Afafranto mega walk. And that is where he engaged thousands of supporters who joined him for the walk. Over there, he told them that there's a need for them to support him, to vote massively for him in December 7th, and to also make sure that he's able to break the NDC NPP duopoly. Talking of the Ashanti region being the stronghold of the new Patriotic Party, he's willing to make sure that at every point in time, when it's time for us to have the election generally, he'll be able to pull enough votes from the region so as to make sure that his aim of breaking the duopoly will become successful.
What key message is he selling to the people? We know the NDC, they are pushing the 24-hour economy. The NPP has been promising raft of tax reforms. What is he telling the people?
Well, Alan Kyerematen is all about industrialization. While we followed him throughout the tour, his message has generally been about industrialization and making sure that there are jobs for the people. He's always saying that, well, there's need to set up industries, there's need to build up factories, there's a need for us to create jobs for the youth. He says that he's one person who's also aimed for the youth, and that is why, in the first place of representation, he has brought in a very young running mate who is going to make sure that he places the affairs of the youth when it comes to governance. And so he's all about industrialization and creation of jobs. So all over the Ashanti region, touring the 47 constituencies of the region, he has been assuring the people that when elected president, his aim is to make sure that he creates jobs for the jobless and also make sure that there's enough money in the country to run the affairs that is needed.
Thank you for joining us, Nanawachi Yadum, all the way from the Ashanti region. Let's come back to the Greater Accra region, where some prospective first-time voters at Kwame Nkrumah Circle fear they may be unable to participate in the upcoming election after city authorities raided where they call home, burnt their belongings, including voter ID cards. Now, for many of these young men and women, it would have been their first time voting, a significant moment now threatened by their precarious living conditions. They have been speaking to Lois Sholadeyemi on our latest edition of Just Turned 18.
They promised to give us jobs and get us off the streets. But I have a question. The city authorities came and burned our clothes, including our voter and Ghana cards. So if they truly need us, why would they do this to us? You want us to vote for you, yet you come and destroy our voter's card. What are we supposed to do now?
Oh, right. Now,
we really want to vote in this year's elections, but they came to evict us from where we sleep and burnt our belongings. My voter's card is also gone.
They came there and they promised us to give us jobs and a place to stay and food to eat every day. But it ended up like they are lying to us.
I mean, if they promise to give you a place to sleep, they promise to give you a good life, isn't that supposed to give you hope?
I don't think so. Maybe after you vote for them, you become their enemy. They don't even be wondering out you. They don't even know you.
I want to know, what are the issues? And okay, this year what will influence your decisions to vote? That's what I want to find out now.
Because us on the streets in Bianco, we are suffering. Not only me and my friends, we are all suffering. So I think if the government finance shelter or something to do to get something, we will all vote, but we don't find anything for us to do. Me and our friends there, we have made our mind already. We will not vote. Because now I'm talking about NDC and at the same time SME, because these two parties, they're the party that they are challenging themselves. So we are all referring to them that they should find out something like maybe shelter or some job to do. After all that, we vote for them, or if they don't find anything, they as far as they will not vote for them.
All right. Okay. Aisha, then on Pese, and Sana Obeka say, what do you want to see? What will influence you to vote?
I want to go to like school before I vote. Yes. School like oh, okay. School and I say Juma. Number concern my vote amo.
And from mama we Juma nye. Person go school. Asana obey all right. Ama, now one swear then no person who and some waka say okay this year me vote because election no 3 months away. Then no person who and then no person would say and some waka say okay and this year me the met waba.
Me pese o mama ya Wall Street na dabalanda we asin. Ya dabalanda we sun. O ma ya juma papa bi na o moka nyansa se mi chere na SMEs.
All right. Amma says that she wants to see that they've given them good jobs. Those sleeping on the veranda, they should give them better places to sleep before she will decide to vote. And I'm a boy. All right. I'm a boy. When so then I'll person who I found what I say, okay, this year, me vote.
One year, I'm working. One also the boy is you see the pescabian and the PVP. Only idea, a bit my boy say, like, maybe papada, and over blend and Beshita, and I said, Katebi in Edia Sahan Mayotment Adaso. And I anyway say, you move Mususha. Yendumiade, go field me maybe answer. Only I'm quite 8 years, 9 years. Being a government and was on wire. Named me more, and then I go fiasum. Only idea is government one.
All right. So he says that what he wants to see is that the government will build more shelters for them. Even if they will not give them places to sleep, they want beds to be able to lay on these verandas that they're sleeping on to sleep. And there are also young people, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds sleeping on the street. They are looking for places for them to sleep and also to help them locate their parents who may be anywhere out of Accra or even in Accra to help them find their way home. That's what he wants to see before he will decide to vote.
Now, away from the elections, the Multimedia Group has condemned attacks on Love FM editor Arus Asar Dono. Arus and his crew were attacked by armed men who claim to be working for Kyerematen Resources Limited, a mining site at Isumenya, close to Manso in the Ashanti region. We'll share excerpts of that statement shortly. First, let's hear Arus Asar Dono's account of actually what happened.
You told me that the car coming is your boss. Can't baby, you guys are not that car is coming is his boss. Yes, yes, hey, Uba wasn't your boss in me.
We had gone to the Semanyo Forest Reserve where we had information that a mining company, Kyerematen, was polluting the streams nearby and also destroying even a restoration project that has been started to restore the forest. So when we went there, we met 2 young men at the site and we greeted them and started our job of documenting the devastation on the ground. So it was at this point that they radioed other people to come because some media men, according to them, have entered the site. So within some few minutes, heavily built men, all armed with pump-action guns and assault rifles, came to the site and took custody of our drone. They also took our camera. They did a body search of us, took away our phones and everything, and then forced us to join our vehicle. One armed person sat behind the driver of our vehicle. Another one sat in the bucket, and we were forced to follow them wherever they were going. In fact, they said the owner of the site wanted to speak with us in the next town. But when we reached the next town, they were still going. So I sought to find out where they are taking us. And that attracted anger from them. They wanted to force my driver out of the vehicle and take over the vehicle, which I objected to. So we had to follow them. We reached a secluded area and they asked us to come down. And they subjected us to some beating, all four of us. At that point, they deleted footage from our phones. They took the SD card.
Well, the Multimedia Group has condemned the attack on Arus Asar Dono. MFA Kusiadeti joins me in the studio with a statement from the Multimedia Group. MFA, what does it say?
Well, so later today we'll be publishing it on all of our social media handles. But let me just read to you on behalf of management. It says that the Multimedia Group strongly condemns the violent attack on 4 team members by armed men at Esumenya near Mansunkran in the Ashanti region on Sunday, 20th October 2024. Now, the team was covering the recent resurgence of destruction in parts of the newly restored Esumenya Forest Reserve, and as well as the pollution of streams feeding into the Ankobra River. Now, during the assignment, more than 10 heavily armed men wielding pump-action guns attacked and assaulted the crew, forcefully abducted them to remote location, subjected them to physical abuse, and later abandoned them at the remote location. Now, the attackers also took away items including SD cards and drone batteries after deleting footages of the investigation on all devices. Now, the matter has been reported to the police, especially the Inspector General of Police, and in attempting to apprehend the attackers. Now, we unequivocally denounce this attack on our journalists and call on the Ghana Police Service to ensure that the perpetrators are swiftly brought to justice and to all those involved made to face the full extent of the law. Now, no journalist should ever be subjected to such brutality for simply doing their job, especially when they are dealing with such an ecological devastating matter as Galamsey. Now, as the fourth estate of the realm, journalism plays a vital role in highlighting issues that affect our society. It is in this light that we call for greater protection of journalists across the country. And this is signed by our Chief HR Fusti.
Thank you, MFR. Well, we'll be following this through until we get justice for Erastus, and that is why you should join the campaign with the hashtag Defend Media Freedom. As we approach the election, the safety of journalists is paramount. Away from that, at just 5 years old, Enes Opoku was forced to abandon his dreams of becoming a doctor, told to quit school and rear livestock instead. In a similar tragic twist, Kofi Appiah also found himself on the streets, fleeing the neglect he faced at home. In this episode of Streets of Despair, Clinton Yeboah explores the stories of these survivors whose lives reflect the harsh realities of family abandonment.
Here is Ernest, but that's not his birth name. Born as Opoku Somi in the Wa Municipal District in Ghana's Upper West Region, the then 16-year-old changed his name to shed the memories of neglect and rejection he has endured from his own family. At an ambitious age of 5, he was told blatantly to quit school and rear sheep and goats. A young boy convinced of becoming a medical doctor in the future. Now at 30, he tells a story of hardship and abandonment from family. So my young siblings were allowed to go to school, but I was not. I resisted my exemption. I cried. His life took a dramatic turn when he had to forgo his ambition and survive as a trotro mate, enduring long hours and sheltering in the bars for 5 long years.
5 years also.
5 years and I had still not been taught how to drive. I realized I was wasting time.
At least, actually, I said no.
Through his disappointment, a helper came along with a tricycle to work with. Ernest makes a livelihood carrying loads throughout the day to feed himself and his nuclear family. I can say the man has been a savior. Left to my family alone, my life would have been stale. A cobbler, Kofi Boateng, makes way through the crowd trying to spot dirty shoes. His situation mirrors Ernest in several ways. His dream of becoming a professional chef was crushed when financial struggles and family neglect pushed him into looking for means to survive as a shoemaker. I couldn't continue after I trained as a chef, so I stopped to scout for a livelihood with no support at all. The family support was one-sided and I received none.
Support me, we don't do room, but I go to one side. So I will one side in, one side, and not quite style. So one side, and I was not quite style. Get in a view of it, but young few. When I'm more if a couple of.
Under a cold weather, without shelter, he passes the night under the Asafo Fort Bridge against security vulnerabilities. His determination affords him the opportunity to hawk his cobbling in the bustling markets of Asafo to cater for his children who are far from him. Kofi has his own advice for the youth. Womanizing and bad company are such killers of good life. I faced same growing up, and that is my advice to young people. The phenomenon of streetism has been majorly fueled by family neglect and social pressures. On the streets of Kumasi, many of these children are growing without guidance, shelter and security. The long-term effects are devastating. Professor Kojo Oforidua is an associate professor at the Department of Sociology and Social Work at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
And so we realize that there are multiplicity of factors. Broken homes, neglected parents, abusive rural urban migration, poverty, and a whole lot of. So the question that we ask ourselves is, how do we solve these issues? The social welfare is supposed to be, as I think, should lead in this. Unfortunately for them too, they also have problems. Because, as I said, some of them are run away, some of them are abandoned, some of them are missing. This group of people, when they take them, they should have a shelter where they can keep them and manage them, ensure that they go to school. And the question is, how many shelters we have in Ghana on these big cities? So to do that, I think that from where I sit, we need to strengthen the social welfare department or the ministry so that they can play their role towards these children who are found on the street. There are a lot of children who are, for instance, as I said, those who are born on the street, they are supposed to take them away and keep them in shelters. In some countries, such children are become, for lack of better words, government property, and therefore government has to take them and make sure that they go to school, keep them in shelter, feed them, and ensure that all what they need to grow up. But the social welfare department itself is not adequately resourced. We also need to engage in public education. It looks to me that some people may not know the harmful effect of streetism.
Reporting for Joy News, my name is Clinton Yeboah.
Time now to bring you updates on the 2024 National Science and Maths Quiz. We're taking all the way to Cape Coast. Jacqueline Ansuma joins us live with more. Jacqueline, Ghana National will be competing today. What's the mood in the area today?
Well, for C, we just ended with the first contest for today, which was between St. Augustine's College, and of course we had St. Augustine's College, T.I. Amas Kumasi, and Queen of Peace SHS, with St. Augustine's College sailing through with 73 points so far this morning. As at 11 a.m., that was the highest score so far. Currently, I am at the SGS Auditorium, where the contest between Wesley Girls Senior High School, Amenyampong, and Ashaman SHS. You know, last year Wesley Girls did exceedingly great in the contest. They're back here as a Cedar School, and the auditorium is filled up. The contest, the second contest for the day, would kickstart pretty soon. But then we don't only have St. Augustine's College as the only school sailing through this morning. We have St. Hubert Seminary also sailing through to the next stage with some 67 points, and Bishop Herman College sailing through with 49 points. So you'd want to stay with us on that. And we also have a live show this evening on Joy News at 3 p.m.
Updates. Now, I am rooting for Presec Legon. So each time there is a contest where they are involved, I am there because, as for me, dear, I support the winning team. Well, you're still watching Joy News Today. We'll be back with business news. Please stay tuned in.
Welcome back to Business on Joy News Today. My name is Winston Taki, and now to our first business story. Government is working to make Ghana a climate financing hub in Africa. This is according to the Finance Minister, Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam. He explains that this will enable Ghana attract international funding, partner with domestic and external private sector investors, and implement projects that promote green growth. He was speaking at the inauguration of the Climate Financing Division at the Finance Ministry.
We have always stood the test of time, and we have always delivered to the expectations of our country. And I know that this division will showcase our prowess. This division will showcase our capacity. It will showcase our ability to lead in accessing green financing to support the growth agenda of our country. And so as we embark on this new journey, let us renew our commitment to climate action and sustainable development. I call on all our stakeholders, public and private sector, international partners, our development partners here, and civil society to join us on this exciting new journey. Together, we can ensure that Ghana emerges as a leader in climate financing and a champion of a sustainable future for all. Our vision really is to ensure that Ghana becomes a climate financing hub in Africa. And with all of us working together, we will achieve this.
Still staying on finance, some financial technology firms are asking the Bank of Ghana to reassess its operations for more support to drive the financial inclusion. Chief Executive of Leshego Ghana Savings and Loans Company, Ni Amankra Tete, explains since savings and loan companies depend largely on informal sector players, there is a need for the regulator to provide more assistance. He's been speaking with my colleague James Ishan.
It's critical that, first of all, we have that conversation
that all the players need to have. Right now, most of us are just firing off on different levels, and we are not having the kind of collaboration because there's enough in there for everybody to participate in. And if we can solve the issues of finance, because we are lending to these people at rates that are actually high, but because the funding itself is expensive, we are sourcing technology that is not cheap. So we need to have that conversation that says, how do people who are private enterprise, whose driving philosophy is profit, how do we come together and begin something that is a social enterprise that actually changes our country? And that conversation is possible. We have them very often. I think the problem is just the follow-up and people who have got the tenacity to want to just sow this and end it, and just deliver on the commitments. So I think more of that will continue to happen. Programs like this actually make that possible. A program like this allows us all to sit together, think about the gains, think about what the future looks like, and then begin to say, okay, we want to do different, we want to grow here, we want to do this. And if we do that, I believe that we will get to a point where we have a critical mass of actors who want to actually see change happen.
Now, within you, I know Leshogo is into savings and loans, and there are concerns with respect to NPLs, non-performing loans and all that. How are you guys coping with that?
So if you take a good look at the mobile loan space, I spoke about two things that the regulators and the state have done that have made it easier for us to be able to do this and actually thrive. And one of the reasons why it's difficult around all those places, because these two things do not exist, the credit referencing and the Ghana card. Those things mean that's why today, if you see somebody want to pay them on their card, they'll tell you, don't send it to this one because they've got a loan they are paying. And unless you want to disappear from Ghana, you have to make payments on that loan. So it's made it possible for all of us to be able to participate in an environment that is governed, sort of. So yes, the NPLs are a challenge in the economy today, but take a look at what's happening on the mobile lending space. We're actually very proud of the NPL rates we have there. They are actually sub 10. So we are very proud of what's happening in that space.
There's also conversation of regulation. We know the Bank of Ghana sort of regulates you guys. But whenever you speak to some of these guys within the space, it appears there are some lapses. How are you guys dealing? And what do you think the Bank of Ghana can also do to sort of have a strong regulation? The BOG is doing its part. So from your experience, what do you think BOG can do to sort of drive more growth within the sector?
Let me be first to say that the BOG is doing their very best within the circumstances, and they are actually doing a lot in terms of governance. I think for me the challenge is that what are savings and loans companies achieving for you? If you remember what I said in my speech, savings and loans companies are actually serving 7.6 million customers who are really that part of the economy that really needs tendering. So what do we want to do? We want to have the regulator understands this. The regulator needs to now look at this piece and say, if these are the main actors here, how do I want to empower them to do more in this sector?
Expect the full interview on Marketplace at 1 p.m. That'll be all for business. My name is Winston Taki. We have sports and entertainment after this. Stay tuned.
You're on JoyNews Today with me, Muftawa Nabila Abdullah. Multi-Choice Ghana, one of the participants of this year's Joy Sports Invitational Tournament, says their target is to win all the trophies on stake. Multi-Choice is the organization that brings the different products, that is Premier League, Serie A, La Liga, to our doorsteps through their platforms. And they say they are not only good at bringing to our homes the best league in the world, but they are also good at practicing those events.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know having
Sports Invitational 2024 happening at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium on October 26. And today we find ourselves in the midst of the organization that provides you and I the best league in the world, which is the Premier League. The organization that provides you and I the best competition that anyone out there would want to be a part of. The Premier League, La Liga, Serie A, and all other leagues in the world. Anywhere you want to get quality football to watch, you can only get them or MultiChoice. So today, we are here in the offices of MultiChoice. They are participating in the Joy Sports Invitational, which will be happening at the University of Ghana Sports Stadium. And guess what? What I've witnessed so far is quite scary. It's scary because they are already in their gym. I don't know. I don't know whether they want to come and punch people or they want to come and scare everyone out there. And there are a plethora of sporting events that we will have in it. We have swimming, we have lawn tennis, we have penalty kicks for ladies and all that. But they are here lifting metals. I'm wondering, maybe for the tag of peace, right? Is it for the tag of peace?
Yes. We're a total sports house. We have the best sports that the world can ever give anyone, and we expose our staff to all the sports. So for example, we're currently in the gym. You've seen the kind of equipment we have here. Every Thursday evening, the whole office goes off to play football. So we are a coordinated team already. Just last week, we had an interdepartmental competition. And this evening, which is a Thursday evening for us, we'll be at the Jowolu Primary School field playing. It's normal. So for us, the invitation.
Fosti says she'll be taking the first penalty kick for the ladies.
That's right. This is me. I can do it. Well, that's how I wrap up the bulletin. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Asafo. Good afternoon.